Welcome to the IIIF Presentation API. Today we're going to have a look at how the Presentation API works, but we're also going to do create a manifest using the images that you had yesterday. So if you haven't already done so, please stop this video and watch this first intro to the IIIF Presentation API version 3. This will give you a kind of an intro into the theory behind the Presentation API and how it works, and some of the terminology involved with manifests. But assuming you've watched that video, let's crack on and create a manifest. So the first thing we need with a manifest is some images. So this is an example of one which I uploaded to the Internet Archive. So I'll be using this one. And actually you want two images. So you can upload two images to the Internet Archive, or you can use some of these sample images. So I'm going to open this up in a new window, and I'm actually going to open up this in a completely new window so that I can see what I'm doing as I'm talking. So I'll make this a bit smaller. Okay, so steps to create the manifest. So we're going to navigate to the Digerati manifest editor, and then we're going to click create a new manifest. Okay, so I have my manifest here. And the first thing it asks is we're going to change the label of this manifest. So we're going to change it to Glenn's Fantastic Manifest. And you can see on the right-hand side here, you can assign a language to this. So I'm defaulting it to English, but there's Welsh, Netherlands, or French. And I think it can be configured for other languages. But I'm going to stick with English. So I've done the label. Now I want to add content. So to do that, I'm going to make this screen a bit bigger. And I can see this start adding content. So I'm going to click here. And there are a number of different things. So the Gujarati Manifest Editor supports version 3 of the IIIF Image API. So you can add IIIF images, you can add straight images just off the internet, you can add video and audio, and they're all part of the IIIF standards. The rest are kind of slight extensions and custom to the Gujarati Manifest Editor. You can add an HTML annotation that is part of IIIF. Adding a YouTube video isn't strictly part of IIIF, but it is a really useful feature, which is part of the manifest editor. IIIF Browser allows you to browse a number of public IIIF resources and add them into your manifest. Empty canvas, just as you'd imagine an empty canvas. And you can also add a list of image URLs. But for this example, we want to add a IIIF image service. So if you remember, I'm going to go to my item. And if we go back to day 2, there was a method for getting access to a IIIF image from the Internet Archive. So it's this URL here that I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this URL. I'll just paste it into here, and then I'll go to my item, and I will copy this identifier here, and I'll paste it into here. And then I'll copy that full URL and I'll put it into this here. And that'll give me the URL to the item. So I'll copy this info.json and I'll go back to the manifest editor and I'll go to the IIIF image and I can just paste in this link to the IIIF image service. And if all being well, it will go and get the image and give you a thumbnail here. The Internet Archive isn't the fastest, so depending on how many people are using the Internet Archive, it might take a minute or two for the image to arrive, but hopefully it will arrive. So I'll click Create. And I'll go back to the guide. So I've added my IIIF image, done this bit. And the next bit it says, take a few minutes to load if you're using the Internet Archive. So the first thing we want to do is just change the canvas. So at the moment it's called Untitled Canvas. And again, on the right, I can change the label and I'll change this to page 1. There we are, it's loaded. So again, I can change the language and also convert it to HTML if I want to. So now we're going to add a second canvas. So to do this, click on the canvas panel, left-hand side. So that's here. So canvases, and then I can click the add new canvas. So again, I get to the same menu item. So I'm going to select the one at the top, which is the one from the Yale Centre of British Art. So I'll open that in a new tab. It's got the info.json at the end, so I'll copy that and I'll put that into the IIIF image service. So it gives me a thumbnail. So now I've got two canvases. The first one from the Internet Archive and the second one from Yale. Great, and I'll also give this change the label to this to page 2. Okay, so I've got page 1 and page 2, and I can go to the grid view, just see them all together. So before we download it, we can also have a look at it. So at the top right-hand side, we've got a preview. So if I make this a bit bigger again, we've got a preview, and it gives us a number of options. We could open it in a number of different viewers just to see what it looks like, but we can also access the raw manifest. So if we open up Theseus, as I mentioned, Theseus is one of those new viewers, which is, I think, probably the most conformant to the IIIF specifications. But I can see my first image, and I can see my second image too. And I can also zoom into them. So it looks good in Theseus. I can also open up in the Universal Viewer. So the 2 pages seems to be working okay. There's not a lot about metadata with this item, so we'll fix that in a second. And if we have a look at it in Mirador 3, same item, go to the gallery, and we should see both items there. So that's looked like it's working okay. So the manifest edit has lots of different features. You can do an awful lot with creating manifests, creating collections, and doing different things. One thing that is slightly confusing is whether you're editing the metadata at the page level, the canvas level, or at the manifest level. And you can add metadata at both parts, so it can be a bit confusing. So this is the canvas level, so this is the canvas level, but I want to be editing the manifest metadata. So if I click manifest summary, I go up here and you can see there's a manifest here. So that's the one I want to be able to edit. So if I go to the metadata panel, there's no metadata items at the moment. So I can add a metadata. This is a completely free text. So if I just put author and I put my name, Robson, and then maybe I'll add another one, description. This is a collection of images. And then I can click the tick to get it done. So I've added 2 different bits of metadata. You can see there again, I could change the language of both the label and also the value. Technical metadata, so this is kind of interesting looking at telling the viewer exactly how to access the item. So I could say that this is a left to right or right to left, so particularly good for some manuscripts which need to be read from right to left. Also top to bottom if you've got kind of a scroll or something. And then these built-in behaviors are also for audio visuals. So you can do auto advance if it's a collection of audio recordings, you want to kind of automatically play them. Some other really good features, linking. So I can link to a see also. So the see also field is where you add in links to kind of descriptive metadata. So if you have metadata in mods or mark or anything like that, you can provide a link to that from your manifest. Rendering is where you can link to like a different version of the manifest. So it might be that you have a PDF document of this manifest, and you can link to it there. Start is one where you can kind of jump pages. So if you've got a manuscript maybe and the first page is just a blank page and you want to start on the second page, you can do that using start. Um, Another one is nav place. So in this particular example, if say if we want to say that these two images were part of this point on a map, then we can add kind of a point on the map to associate this whole manifest. So I've added some information about the manifest. If I want to add some metadata for the canvases, I can do. I've clicked the canvases again. I click the first image, and again, we've got the same metadata pane. So I can add a manifest item here just to show you the difference between a manifest level and somewhere else. So I can say that this is location. I can say this is Victoria. I click save. So now I've got some descriptive data at the canvas level and also at the manifest level. So we can look at viewers. I'm just going to close these different viewers. And then I'm going to reopen them again. So if I go to the universal viewer, and you can see the metadata has appeared there. You can see, interestingly, that the manifest metadata is at the top, and then the page level metadata is down at the bottom. So if I go to the second page, that page information is not there. If we have a look at it in Mirador, the metadata is on the left-hand side. So you can see the current item, and it's got the metadata here for the location Victoria. And then this is the information about the manifest. If we have a look at Noticias, so this is the information about the manifest. And then click the information. We've got the location here, which is the metadata from the manifest. And you can also see it's got the nav date there as well, nav place there as well. So I'm pretty happy with my manifest. So now I'm going to follow the next steps in the guide, which is to download a copy of the manifest to my directory. We're suggesting calling it a directory called IIIF Workshop and to call the file manifest.json. So I can click download here. So it's downloaded automatically. I've got 5 other manifests, which is going to confuse things. But if I go to GMR, IIIF Workshop, and because I've been doing this training a long time, I've got a number of these. So I've created one for the workshop. I'm just going to drag the manifest in there and call it manifest JSON. Okay, great. So I finished with the manifest editor now. You can leave it open if you want to do some more changes later and replace the manifest, but I'm going to close it for now. Okay, now I'm going to go on to the next one. So this is an optional one. So similar to the way that we created an image manifest, it's also possible to create a video manifest, but I'll leave that as a task if you want to do it later. For a video manifest, you have to have a link directly to the video. So generally in IIIF, YouTube doesn't work, but as you saw in the manifest editor, there is a way to do it in the manifest editor, although that might not work in every viewer because it's not strictly IIIF standard. But if you did want to use a video in a IIIF manifest and make it standard, then you've got to have a direct link to a video. So the suggestion here is to use the Internet Archive, as that gives you direct links to a video. And there's a step-by-step guide there. So the next stage is that we've downloaded this manifest and we want to start editing it. So this kind of gives you a real kind of hands-on way of working with manifests and understanding how it works. The manifest editor is fantastic, and if you're creating a small number of manifests, it's probably the best tool to use. But also it's good to kind of get under the hood and see exactly how it works. So what we're going to do with that is we're going to install a JSON editor. So the manifest is available in JSON, and we're going to use a JSON editor to be able to edit the JSON to see what we're looking at. And the one I'm suggesting to use is installing is called Visual Studio Code Editor. So this is a kind of a developer tool for editing code, but it also has good features for editing JSON. So if you go to the VS Code website, you should be able to click there and download it and install it. I've already got it installed, so I'll skip that step. So once you've got it downloaded and installed, it should open and you should see something like this, which is a VS Code editor. It's got this kind of welcome screen, so I'm just going to close that. And then you can go to the file and you can do open folder. And I'm going to choose to open this 2026-06, and you can see my manifest.json is in there. So I've clicked open. And this is just what it's saying. So open up the editor. You can click the open link there to open up your directory you're working with, and then click open, and then close to get started. And then you have your kind of file browser here and what you're editing there. So if I click the manifest.json, you can see I've got the JSON file, which I've exported from the manifest editor. Um, and it's shown there. And you can see I've got my label, Glenn's Fantastic Manifest, and also my metadata. So the next stage we want to do is to add a little web server to VS Code Editor. This allows you to share your manifest and open it in a IIIF viewer, which really helps in being able to open it in, say, the Universal Viewer or Mirador. So you can make a change, open it in Mirador, and then see what it looks like and check what you've done before you've finished. So there's something called a live server, which is what we're going to use. So we need to go to the plugins here, extensions, click extensions, and then we need to search for live server, which is this one here. So I've already installed it, but if you haven't, you'll see an install button. So if you click that, that will install it. There's been a recent change to live server in that we need to set something called the cause headers. And this is a really common problem with IIIF. So cause headers are a kind of security thing for web browsers. And they want to protect you from opening up untrusted JSON code. So what they require is that wherever you publish your JSON, you've got to make sure that you set these cause headers. And then if the browser sees these cause headers, it knows it's okay to go and get that JSON and open it up in a IIIF viewer. So it's really important. It's something that comes up on the IIIF lists a lot. People asking, my manifest works in my own viewer on my own website, but as soon as I take it somewhere else, it's not working. And that's almost all the time is due to the cause headers. So we need to enable the cause headers in this live server. So I can click the gear icon and go to settings. So I click the gear icon and go to settings. And then I need to scroll down where it says live setting cause and click enable to make sure that's ticked. So I've done that. I'm going to click cross and I'm going to click cross to close the live server. Now, if I want to get back to my files, I can click this one at the top and that'll give me back to my files, and I click the manifest.json and then I've got my manifest.json open. So now that I've installed this server, you should be able to see a go live button at the bottom, and this is what this live server adds. So if I click go live, it'll start the little web server and it'll also open up the directory in my browser. So you can see I've only got the manifest.json at the moment, but if I click that, you can see the manifest that I've been editing. So if I want to open this now, I can copy this link to the manifest and I can open up in the universal viewer here. So I can go to the universal viewer and I can click here and enter it in there and click view. And I've got the same manifest that I had from Digerati manifest editor, but now it's using my local version. So when I make changes, I should be able to refresh this page and see exactly what's going on. So we've got that sorted. And now we're just going to have a quick look at this manifest. So we saw when we were editing the using the Gujarati manifest editor, we were editing the label, and you can see this is what the label looks like in the actual JSON. So it has a language, which I set as EN, and then it has a value, which is the Glenn's Fantastic Manifest. We also did the metadata. So in here you can see there's a label and a value. So this is one metadata element here from there to there. And inside you can see the label and you can see a value. And both of them have been tagged as English. And it is recommended to put a language label where possible. If you don't know the language, there is a kind of a non field. So like we don't know what language this is, but where possible, if you do know the language, it is advised to put it in. So we've got a label and a value. And looking at the metadata, um, there's kind of a very kind of key decision in IIIF not to standardize these tags. So I've used author, but somebody else may use creator or any other type of text to kind of define that field. And that's absolutely fine. The metadata is there just for the user to be able to understand what they're looking at. So you remember when we're taking these manifests to different locations and different viewers, we're going to kind of lose the surrounding information of the original site where the video came from. So this metadata is there to be able, for the user to be able to know what these images are about, what am I looking at, the context of what I'm looking at. If you want structured metadata that a machine can read, then you can link to that from the C also. But this metadata section is just enough information for the user to know what it's looking at. So we looked at the metadata section, and then inside the metadata section, we've got this. And I should also show you that if I go kind of navigate to the left, you've got these like down arrows. And this is one of the features of the editor where you can kind of hide bits of the JSON to make it a bit easier to read. So I've just hidden the two metadata elements, but I could also just hide the whole metadata section if I was interested in other parts of the manifest. And then if I click it again, it would be expanded. But I'm going to hide that for now. So inside the manifest, we've also got these items, and this used to be called the sequences in IIIF version 2, but now we've got audio visual. Sequence doesn't really work with audio video, so it's been renamed items. And inside items, we have our canvases. So if I hide this canvas, you can see there are two canvases. But we'll look at the first one. So we have the canvas, which also has a label. And this one has a metadata section, just as we saw in the manifest editor, again, of a key and value pair. The manifest editor has automatically created the thumbnail, but also in here we've got annotations. So if I close this all up, so we've got the label, and we'll close thumbnail. So we've got the canvas, which has got a width and a height, and then we're annotating images onto that canvas. So just like Mike was saying in the video, so we've got the canvas, height and width, and then we've got the annotation, and this is the annotation which is a motivation painting, which is going to paint this body onto, if I close this, we should see the target, which is here. And this is the canvas identifier. You can see that matches the identifier up there. And then inside the body, we've got an identifier for the image, a height and width for the image, but most importantly, we've got a service which links to the IIIF image API. So that's kind of what it looks like in general. And what we'll do now is we'll look at kind of doing some edits to this JSON just to see kind of exactly how it works. So the advice is to save the working manifest as manifest.json and create a new one called manifest2.json so that we're not editing the one that works. So I'm going to right click on this manifest and click copy. And I'm just going to click paste here and it'll do a manifest copy. And I'm just going to rename this one manifest2.json. Okay, so we've got the original manifest, and then I'll just close that so we don't edit that one, and we'll open up the manifest2.json, so we're editing this one. So we're going to load the manifest in the universal viewer. So I can either kind of click this, which will turn off the live server, and click it again, and it'll open up this directory again. And you can see now I've got manifest and manifest 2. But I'm going to use this manifest2.json. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to go back here and go back to the main website and put it in here. So now I've got this manifest 2 open. I can just refresh this page as I'm doing the editing. And it's a really good idea to make one edit, refresh, one edit, refresh, one edit, refresh, because it's easier to fix a problem when it's small. But the more changes you make without checking it, it can get bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, so we've got that open. I think I will also open it up in Mirador as well in a second, but we'll use the universal viewer for now. So we've got a few tasks here. So the first thing is we want to do is we want to create a short summary of the manifest, and the content is up to you. So in this guide, we also link to the IIIF presentation API. So if I open up this link, it'll give me details about what the summary is. So the summary is a short textual summary intended to be conveyed to the user when the metadata entries of resource are not being displayed. This could be a brief description in the search results, or for small screen environments, or an alternative user interface when the metadata property is not currently being rendered. The summary property follows the same pattern as the label property described above. And then it gives us an example of what the summary should be. So what we want to do is we want to do the summary at the manifest level. And if I scroll right down to the bottom of the specification, we've got a summary of property requirements. And this tells you where each of the different fields can live within a manifest. So the summary is recommended. So you can see the half green is recommended. Recommended at a collection level and recommended at a manifest level. It can be at a canvas level, but we really want to put it at the manifest level. So I've copied that summary text. I'm going to go to the JSON. And whenever I'm looking at the different levels, you can see that when I was closing things, we've got the canvas, which is inside the items, which is inside the manifest. So if I close all these to make sure we're just opening up the manifest level. So these are all at the same level. So basically, if I close this, I'm closing everything. And I want to put it at the manifest level. So if you look for the type manifest, I know I'm going to be at the right place. So I'm just going to, at the end of this, I'm going to create a new line, and I'm just going to paste, go back, and I'm going to copy the summary. So I can click the copy button to copy the summary, and then I can paste it here. So what it's done is it's put in these two braces around the outside, so I don't actually need those. So I can delete those. And I'm just going to put some formatting in so we can have a look at it. So the formatting isn't important for a computer to use, but it is helpful for a human to use. So one thing I have to add is I have to add a comma at the end. So as you see that everything has a comma at the end. It's a bit like a list of items. So you've got a comma, 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 and then apart from the last item, so the last item doesn't have a comma. So I've added that comma, and now it's happy. If I weren't to have that comma, you can see that it's kind of highlighted. There's a problem here. There's like a red line, and helpfully it says expected comma. So I've got to go line above and put my comma. So I can put a summary. So this is a summary of our object. Let's change that to this is a great manifest by Glenn. Look at the lovely images. Okay, so I've edited that summary. Still, I'm going to keep it as English, but I could change it to another language. And you can see there's like a dot above here, which means I've made an edit and I need to save it. So I can either do File, Save, or I can do Command Save to save the manifest. So I've saved the manifest. Let's go to the Universal Viewer. and do a refresh. And let's see if the summary has arrived. So you can see the summary has been added here. This is a great manifest by again. Look at the lovely images. So the summary has been added there. So we've done that. Okay, next one is the required statement. So again, I'll close the summary. So the required statement is something that a viewer must show. So this can be copyright just declaration. It could be the like a link or a mention of your particular institution if you want to show people where the items come, and the viewer is kind of required to show it and kind of make it very clear to the users. So we're going to go back to our descriptive property rights and property to see which level it should be on. So it looks like this is optional at all levels. But again, we're going to put it at the manifest level because we want to associate rights with the whole item. If we wanted to have different rights for each of the different canvases or pages, then we can do that. But I want to associate my required statement with the whole manifest. Okay, so I'm going to click copy. So again, I want to put it next to the manifest part. I'm going to click new line and I'm going to paste what I've copied. So again, we've got these extra braces, which we don't need. So I'm just going to get rid of those. And again, we've got the red line because we haven't got a comma. So I'm just going to put a comma there. So we're going to call this attribution, but I'm going to change it to this is, I'm going to change it to important. Provide a courtesy of Glenn Robson. So I've added a required statement. So again, if we click save it and then go back to the universal viewer and we can do a refresh and we'll see what happens. So you can see the required statement on the universal viewer is really clear. So it kind of does this little pop-up in the corner. So again, it says important, but that could be anything you want, attribution, rights, whatever you want to put there. And then provided courtesy of Glenn Robson. So next we're going to have a look at the behavior. So I did mention that we're going to look at page behavior, but for page behavior, we do need a number of pages, at least 4, to be able to see the effects of the page behavior. So instead, we're going to look at continuous. Continuous is when you have one image and then you put an image straight next to it and potentially next to it. So this can be useful for plates or for other types of images which really need to be next to each other rather than individual images or in a paged item. They really need to be kind of stuck together. So if we have a look at the behavior, you can see here we've got a list of different behaviors. Some of them are temporal, so they only work with audiovisual, but we're really looking for a layout behavior. So I mentioned paged, and this is an example of page, but continuous is the one that we want. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm just going to copy this again, go to my manifest. I should add that continuous behavior can be placed in a number of different places. It can be anywhere, but in the description, it says each different type of behavior is valid in a different place. So continuous is valid on collections, manifests, and ranges, but really we want to put it in the manifest because we want to put the image, all images in the manifest together as a continuous. So I'll go to the manifest. I'm going to paste in the behavior. Just delete this again and this. And if I want to automatically format this, there is a kind of command to do this, which is in a Mac is Control-Shift-B, which should kind of auto format the JSON, which kind of make it a lot helpful. If you search the internet for VS Code format JSON, there is a guide on the Visual Studio Code, and unformatting it will give you the command to be able to format the JSON on your operating system. So on the Mac, it's that one, but on Windows, it'll be slightly different. But if you go to this page, it should tell you what the command is to format it, which can save you some typing. So it's formatted and I've added a comma there to make sure. I don't actually want these two. What I want is continuous. So I'll copy continuous And I'll just get rid of that. So there's only one. And make sure there's a speech mark. No comma, because it's the last one on this list. There's only one. And I'll click Save. And then we'll go to the Universal Viewer. And I'll click Refresh. And you can see now that they're continuous. So the two items have been put together as if they fit together. Next, it's asking us to add a Creative Commons rights. So if I open this into a new tab, it'll give us the information about the rights. So rights is the string that identifies a license or right statements that must apply to the content of the resource. So again, we could have this down at the canvas level if they had different rights, but we want to have it at the manifest level again. And we want Creative Commons format by NCSA. Okay, so we've got to go to the Creative Commons website. Let's just search straight for it. Okay, so this one here. So the canonical URL is this one. So I'm going to right now I'm going to go back to this and copy this right statement over to the manifest. Again, I want it at the manifest level, so I've got to the manifest and I'll paste this. Again, we don't need these surrounding braces. I'm just going to put a comma there, and then I'm going to do my formatting thing. So format's okay. So I need to change this to the license given here, and it says this is the canonical URL. One thing to note is that the canonical URLs on Creative Commons says it's HTTPS, but IIIF only allows HTTP for license URLs due to a really complicated reason, but this causes no end of confusion. So whenever you copy it across, I'm just going to delete this and paste in what I've copied. I'm just going to make sure it's an HTTP URL rather than HTTPS. So I've saved that, and then we go back to the Universal Viewer and have a look at it. So you can see that the Creative Commons is there. So we've done the continuous behavior, but I don't really like it. So what I think we'll do is we'll just change that back to the default one, which is individuals. So if I go back to behavior and I go down to here and copy individuals, we'll change it back to individuals because that is the nicest one really for this type of image. Yeah, so back to just a single page. Okay, and then lastly, add properties to the metadata following the pattern of the language property values. So we've done some of this in the manifest editor. Let's just do another one. So I can copy this. I can go into the metadata section. So again, I'm going to expand it all. I'm going to make sure that I match this. So I can highlight this brace and you can see it's kind of made a line to that one. So I'm going to do comma and I'm going to paste in this metadata value. Let's just leave it as creator. Okay, and we'll save that and then we can go back to the Universal Viewer and refresh and we should see that the artist has been left there as well. So we've done all our editing. So hints, so after each step, make sure you reload in the Universal Viewer as we've been doing to make it all the changes. You can also use Mirador to test them. So if you open up this link, this will create a link to automatically load your manifest. And it means that you can make a change and refresh and it will see the changes. But you can see the changes in here. We've got the metadata in here. The rights is in this. So this is where the required statement is shown in Mirador. But it's just interesting to see what it looks like in different viewers. So a short introduction to JSON. So we've covered some of this. It's a structured way of writing text that both ideally a human can understand, but also a computer can process, which means it has very strict rules about commas and things like that. So this is what is something called a JSON object. So it has a key and a value. So the key is name and the value is Glenn. Key is location, value is Aberystwyth. And it's surrounded by these braces. And then after every key value pair, we've got a comma apart from the last one. So we saw that when we were editing it. Um, Another type of way of doing JSON is one, you have an object which has like a list of properties, key value pairs, but you can also have a list of items, and we saw that with behavior. So for example, apple, pear, orange, they're in these square brackets, which means it's a list. Again, everything has a comma apart from the last one. And then as we saw in the JSON, it can get quite complex, and the manifest can get quite complicated. So here we have a person object, and then we have the properties name Glenn, location Aberystwyth, and eats apples. So here we have a list, and here we have an object. So I think we've covered most of that. And as I said, VS Code does a good job of kind of linking up and telling you where the brackets are. If you do get any problems, just send me a copy of a manifest and we can have a look at it. So next, it's possible to add a table of contents to your manifest, but I'm going to leave that as an exercise for you to be able to try and look at the specification, understand kind of how it works, and then put that JSON into your manifest to see if you can get a table of contents. Okay, the final step is that we want to publish our manifest. So we've been using this live server, which has been great for editing the JSON. But if you want to share it with other people, if you want to see it in various other tools apart from the Universal Viewer and Mirador, then we really want to publish our manifest on the internet to make it available to others. And what we're going to use is the workbench, which is something that we've developed for the training. So if you open this up in a new tab, it'll ask you to log in. If you don't have a GitHub account, we use GitHub to store all of the manifests and make them available publicly for free. So if you don't have a GitHub account, you can sign up for one there. But I do, so I'm going to log in with my GitHub. I happen to have two GitHub accounts, but I'm going to use this one. So I've logged into the workbench. So I happen to have lots of different projects, but if you just create a project, I'm going to call this June 2026, and make sure there are no spaces in that name. I'm just going to click create. So you might have seen this option in the image API as part one. If you want to upload images, you can upload these for level 0 images. But we want to create upload a manifest. So I'm going to click manifest. And then I want to upload, and I want to select the IIIF workshop, 6, and I'm going to do manifest 2. This is the one I've been editing. Click open and then click upload. And this will take a couple of minutes to upload to GitHub. So click upload and then you will get your manifest here. So once it's loaded, you'll be able to see a link to Mirador and also to the Universal Viewer. So just open those. And then we can see our public manifest. And you can see here it's linked at the top. So it's not our local host anymore, the one on my machine. It's the one that's made available from GitHub. And this is public on the internet, so you should be able to use it in any IIIF tool. It has the cause header set up. It's also using HTTPS, which is important for most of the viewers. So if you had problems with the localhost one, then this one should be more usable. But you can see that we've got access to the manifest, and then it can open up in the Universal Viewer and I can see my manifest. Brilliant. Well, I think that's all the steps here. So, yep, if you can have a go at that. If you get any problems, please let me know. But hopefully at the end of this, you will have a working manifest, which tomorrow we can then do some annotations. Thank you.